question for you all. Uh, how many non-responsive leads would you guess you have right now? Just people, you know, you've talked to that, or you've sent a message to, you followed up with, reached out, and a zero response. Justin, all of them. Tiffany, 26, Donna, 15, about 15. Oh, and by the way, if you guys were expecting Laura, she just had a family emergency come up. So she will still be teaching at a later date, um, that session. So we're going to do a special one today, uh, one that I've taught a few times before that is always needed. So Felicia says about 15, Lynn. Now remember, I'm talking about leads. So if you, that means you could go over the last few months and even be seeing how many people have you contacted and just none of them responded. Even take over the last year of talking to leads. I would assume the number would be pretty high. Pretty high. Yeah, definitely had clients ghost. Oh my gosh. And I'm like, okay, that was great. Thanks for wasting all my time. I don't even get paid for this part of the transaction. Yeah, definitely had that. Keith says quite a few. I'm sure, Keith, man. I'm sure. Yeah, I mean, I would probably say for me, I have a pretty big database. So for me, it'd be in the thousands of people who are unresponsive. Now, most of you don't need a database that big. It's kind of a waste, actually, in most cases. Uh, I just didn't know that at the time. So I built a database too big for me to even manage. That's because everybody told me, just get more leads. And yeah, and we're going to get started in just another minute. Still clicking and letting people in. So again, icebreaker question for those coming in. How many non-responsive leads would you guess you have right now? What about over your whole career even? Some of you new, might be dozens. Some of you been in for a little bit. It might be hundreds. Angela knows 150. Yep. Keith, I bet yours is pretty high. I would imagine so. Donna says tens of thousands. That's a big database. Woo! That's a big database, Donna. Did you buy a lot of leads? Oh, 40 plus years. Okay, let's go. All right. Never bought leads, tens of thousands. You are hustling, Donna. I love it. I love it. All right, let's get started. We're five after. I respect your time, you respect my time, and we all have a good time. So, this call is for all the agents who have tried reaching out to maybe social media leads and they never respond. Or maybe you get some engagement, on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram. Maybe you have a blog or a newsletter, right? It's social media is one of the more common ways, but this applies to pretty much anything that you're doing. Okay. Maybe you just don't know what to say beyond just checking in for the 10th time. Anybody guilty of that? Hey, just checking in. How's it going? How's life? Guilty. Definitely guilty. Donna knows what's up. Right, this is for that. But before we get into how to fix those problems, remember there are four commitments you're making for being here on the call. Number one is video on. Felicia's got it, Keith's got it, Nadine's got it. Thank you. But we got a whole bunch of others. Let's get those videos on. I feed off of your energy. I do this for free. So it's good to see you guys. I don't need to see more of me. I see me every day. So. Kristen, good to see you. Pauline, Donna, Love it, love it. And the rest of you, let's get those videos on and get this party started. So number two is distractions off. Felicia knows the rules. Yep. Distractions off. You guys are too smart to show up to a call just to be distracted. Now, I know the temptation. We are real estate agents, so there's always a text message or a post or an email. But listen, if it was that important to do, then why are you here on the call? Go do that thing then. I'm serious. I'm giving you permission. If that thing's more important, go do it. But if it can wait, then let it wait and allow yourself to take this in because I am not here to waste your time. I'm here to give you something that is proven to work. Okay. Number three is to participate. Ask questions at any point. Drop them in the chat. We're really, really good about answering questions. And I don't charge for coaching. So there's no ploy here, right? I'm just going to give to you and bless you as much as I can. So use me as much as you can during this time. And then last, but actually the most important one is go bless someone else. Go make someone else's day. Okay? And I'll give you bonus points that don't count for anything if they're difficult. Okay? But go bless someone else's day. It's good for you. It's good for the world. And it's a reciprocation of just being blessed today. All right. Now, let's kind of get into maybe a scenario some of you have felt before. Maybe you open your CRM. Those of you who like working Facebook leads, I know a lot of you do now. You've even probably taken some of the classes we've done on that. You open your CRM or Facebook, you see a name, and you know you should follow up with them. So you go with the good old faithful. Hey, just checking in. Hope you're doing well. How's the family? Right? And then you hit send. And you're like, haha, I did it. I followed up with them. Right? And then they don't respond. And then you go, well, what's the problem? I followed up. Right? And so you have that moment of feeling productive for 3 seconds, but then you realize that was the same message you sent them last time. And it's the same message you sent to pretty much everybody because you don't know what to say. And they didn't know what to say back to that. Right? They don't respond at all most of the time. Or they go, good, thanks. And you're like, crap, what do I say to that? Where do I go from here, right? Okay, just real quick, drop an X in the chat if you can relate to any of this. Okay, drop an X into the chat if you can relate to any of this. Because by the way, this was built off of me. This was built off of my struggles. Fortunately, I figured out a solution. That's why I'm here to share it with you, okay? I love it. So, I want you guys to say this with me out loud. Yes, even though you're all muted. I can sense it. Ready? Things need to change. And the good news is, guys, today they will. Yes, today. And it's going to start with value proposition. And I feel like I need to change that word because I feel like it's become really stale and commercialized now. That phrase, value proposition, it's so much deeper and more important than that. It's also simpler than it's made out to be. So let's get into it. Let me give you some facts on why this is really important. Number one is personalized outreach gets up to 142% higher response rates than generic messages. So the just checking in, right? You're doing yourself a disservice because you want results. Can we all agree? You want results. Okay, well then let's do the thing that gets results then, right? That's what we got to kind of do. All right, number two, 80% of sales. You've heard stats like this all the time, right? Some of them is after 5 follow-ups, after 10. It's a pretty wide range. I actually think it's a little bit higher now. I think it's going to be around 10, just because I think that that's the way the kind of world is right now. Okay, most agents quit after 1 follow-up. And I'd venture to say, in fact, I'd go a little farther and say most agents don't follow up at all. And if they do follow up, it's just with a very small percentage of leads. Okay. And then 78, this is a crazy stat, 78% of buyers work with the first agent who responds with something relevant, not the first agent who responds, period. And I'll give you guys a quick scenario just to prove that point because maybe some of you disagree with that or maybe you think it's a little off. So you've heard speed to lead before, right? Have you guys heard that? And most people work with the first agent they talk to. I am going to say that every single one of us right here and now, and many of you don't even know me or I don't know you well enough to know your market, but we can disprove that theory right now. You ready? It's so easy. Every single person has already spoken to 17 plus agents before they end up working with one. They all know agents. They've all talked to agents before. So is it really that they just work with the first person, the first agent they talk to? Are we not all living examples of that's not true? All of them have talked to agents probably before they've talked to you. And some of you have been the first agent they talked to and didn't get the deal. So I think that stat's a little misleading. I think the intent is good, right? Be fast to respond. Yes, that's good. That's a good principle in life in general, usually, right? But the reality is that there is a timing and there's a relevancy. People work with the first person that they believe can solve their problems. And I think that's a much better statement, right? And I think we have all experienced that. We have all seen that and maybe even witnessed that. So I just wanted to kind of, I know we've all heard that before, and I kind of I don't agree with that because I think that we have enough proof in all of our different regions and markets to say that that is not true. That they work with the first person who is relevant to them. Okay. All right. So this isn't about following up more, just to be clear. That's important, but that's not the emphasis of today. It's about following up with something that actually matters to them. Okay. So let's just kind of jump right into it. And remember, drop your questions as you go. Um, don't be shy. No question is too small, no question too big. Just keep it on topic if you can. All right. And then also keep the videos on because again, that fuels me. It gives me energy and I appreciate it. So step one is who are they? So when you are trying to reach someone and get someone relevant, okay, I'm going to give you an example without showing that slide. Okay. So let's just take Nadine, Keith, and Felicia. Okay. And they're right there. Now, if I send them all the same generic message, right? It's kind of just that hope and pray method. But if I know something specific about each of you, okay, I'm going to give you an example I just taught on. I did a cold calling class. So lots of people cold call and they use generic scripts, generic methods to connect with someone on the phone. I'm not saying they're bad or anything. I'm saying they're generic. It's the same method. One of the things I did, and I did not like cold calling, just to be clear, but one of the things I did to build trust right away is let's say I'm calling Keith. The normal script is going to be, hey, Keith, I'm Robert, blah, 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 and you're the owner of blah, 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 right? Okay. So right then and there, there's a lot of information they could care less about. Keith does not care who I am. He just cares if I'm useful. And that's okay. That's not a bad thing. Keith is protecting his time, right? That's okay. Keith also already knows he's the owner of the home. So having to repeat information is always annoying, right? Even if we're really nice people and we're humble, it's still annoying to repeat information that we feel people should kind of know already about us. You're calling me, Robert, right? Keith is thinking, you're calling me. Of course, I'm the owner. Can we stop playing games here? You're wasting my time. Get to the point, right? So what I started to do is I started to go in and say something along the lines of, hey, Keith, it's Robert. That red door, by the way, I would find something unique on the MLS from their property. That red door, Keith, you got to tell me what made you think of it? And then Keith would go, huh? What? He'd be a little, why are you talking about something different than what anybody else calls about? And then we go, oh, sorry, I didn't even introduce myself, Keith. I'm Robert. I'm at Epic Realty, blah, 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 all that real estate agent stuff. But I'm just looking around and I was checking the MLS and I saw that red door and I was like, I want to talk to this person, right? I found something unique, right? In other words, even for someone I didn't know, I found a way to connect with him in a personal way, at a personal level. Okay. So now on social media, it's even easier. I have to go to the MLS. I have to look at pictures. I have to find something. Social media, they literally will give it to you right away. Nadine, great question, and we will get to that. It's a great question. Um, so you can do this from your database. You can do this from your social media. So CRM, social media, whatever. We'll use social media because I think more and more agents are using social media and more people, even if you're calling and texting them, you can still extract the information from social media. So I want you to pick someone from your, don't actually go to your social media right now. It's going to distract you. But I want you to imagine someone in your head, right, from your social media, someone that you've seen. Maybe it's a client, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's just someone you want to work with, something like that. Okay. You write down their first name. You write down what platform they're on. So I'm going to say Keith, and him and I connected on Facebook, right? And I connected with him on the Moving to Tennessee Facebook group. Okay, now this is important because this is putting into context. Now Keith is not a lead anymore to me. He's a person, right? It's giving me information to understand who Keith is. All right. So then before I go and I just start spamming Keith with generic messages, I have to think about why I'm reaching out to him in the first place. What's my goal here? What am I trying to accomplish? I just taught a lesson in Virginia at a conference about this. The thing I use is so that what? That's what I ask myself. I'm reaching out to Keith so that what? You guys follow me on that, right? I'm reaching out to Felicia so that what? What do I want from Keith? There's nothing wrong with that. Let's be clear. Let's be intentional. So that what? Well, I'm reaching out to Keith because he made a post about looking for a realtor to help his family move to Tennessee from out of state, and I want to help him. I want to be the agent he works with. Now, you might think, duh, Robert, but a lot of you get distracted with generic answers or silly formalities, and you lose sight of the reason you contacted them in the first place. Or you spend a lot of time on things that are not relevant to the mission or the goal. Okay. Tell me if I'm moving too fast. I'll try to go through this fast because I want to leave more time for questions or even just live examples and stuff like that. So then I look at it and I go, what am I going to say to Keith? Right? Let's say, any of you guys ever try to comment on people's posts to try and win them in the. Yeah. Miriam's like, oh yeah, been there, right? I have done very well on commenting on posts and winning the person over, even when there are hundreds of comments from other agents. My success rate is very high, very high. So high that I've had people who are like, you should build a course and sell it. And I don't. I just give it to you guys for free when I do this. I have a whole course on this. So we know that Keith made that post about moving from out of state. Now, what most agents say, you guys have probably been guilty of this, right? So Keith made this post, hey, I'm looking for a real estate agent to help us moving from Tennessee, from out of state, right? Most people comment, hey, Keith, I'm a local real estate agent in Tennessee, born and raised, would love to help. Is that you? Any of you guilty? Be honest, drop it in the chat if that's you. Just give me a Y, a yes, if that's you in the chat. All right, be honest. This is a safe place. Don't worry. Okay. And if you read all the other comments from agents too, what do they usually say? Hey, Keith, I'm in insert location too, and I'd love to help you. Well, dang it, guys. We're hurting ourselves when we do that. You know why? We're essentially saying all agents are alike. There's no difference between us. We talk the same way. We offer the same things. I see some discouragement, some saying, I don't even bother. Always bother. That's my opinion. Always bother. The largest one I ever won was someone who had 451 comments. And I won that one. I won that one. And I was not the first to comment, just to be clear. I was like, I don't know, probably in the 200s or something. Okay. So some of you may go, yeah, but I don't just comment. I also will send Keith a message, right? And probably something like this. Hey, Keith, saw your post, wanted to reach out and see if you had any real estate questions I could help you answer. Right? Right? You took initiative. You went a little bit farther. Okay. So now let's move on. Let's kind of diagnose this. All right. And the question I want you to ask yourselves is, why should Keith respond to me? When you are ready to hit that comment and hit send, right, on that comment or that message or that email, remember, I'm using social media. This applies to everything, the text messages, everything. Ask yourself, if I'm Keith, right, why should Keith respond to me? What's compelling for him? Now I want you to think about the thing you just said, right? Hey, Keith, I'm a local real estate agent in Tennessee, born and raised, would love to help. Okay. I'm Keith, right? So, what do you want me to say to that? What do you want Keith say to that, guys? Genuinely asking you, what should Keith say to that? Thanks? Don't you think that he kind of already assumed you were a real estate agent? Don't you think he already assumed you lived in Tennessee and not in California? Why would some agent in California be reaching out to Keith on a post about moving to Tennessee? Right? So don't you think that maybe we actually probably just annoyed Keith? We probably just did that because he's like, what are you guys doing? This is all irrelevant, useless information. Felicia, thanks for being honest. I'm going to pick that apart a little bit. She said, I usually say I'm available to answer any of your real estate questions. Would that not be something Keith would already assume a real estate agent is? Available to answer, right? You see where I'm going with this, guys? It's not that we have bad intentions, it's that we're stating the obvious, right? And honestly, if people talk to us this way, we'd be super annoyed as well. When the plumber's in your house and walking around your house, do you expect the plumber to stop and go, oh, and by the way, I'm available to answer any and all of your plumbing questions? No, we just assume command. We go, hey, by the way, I have a question about this. Correct? We don't have this long formal conversation. And most of us, right, we'll pull a plumber in, they'll get assigned to us. We may not even know them. They're a stranger. So you can't even say that, well, we already know them or something. No, this is a cold stranger. You just assume. You assume that they're there to answer these questions. You assume that they're competent and capable. You assume that the plumber is not coming from out of state and that they're a local. And we would be very annoyed to be on the receiving end of this, would we not? Or at the very least, if not annoyed, we'd be a little confused. Like, what are you doing? Why are you telling me this useless information? Right? And so the reason why I say this is it's the same for the DM that we sent to Keith. Right? Saw your post, wanted to reach out and see if you had any real estate questions I could help answer for you. So the response is Keith should talk to me because I'm nice? I don't know. That's not a very compelling business reason, in my opinion. And honestly, lots of agents are nice and friendly. Not a very good, right, reality for us to face when it comes to how we're actually talking to people. So now we need to accept the hard truth, right? Is we are so focused on ourselves. And I don't always think it's intentional, by the way. I think it's just we're not taught otherwise, right? We're taught this really like formal kind of game that we play, and it's not good for anybody, and nobody wants to play that game. Okay. Right. So my compelling reasons for Keith to respond to me are I'm this and I'd love that. You guys follow me what I'm saying? My compelling reason is I'm a real estate agent, me, and I'd love for him to respond. That's a not a great proposition for Keith, is it? Where's the what's in it for him? You guys follow me on this? Yeah? You guys see what I'm saying? This follow up is not taught, by the way. We're not taught this follow up. We're not taught about the actual psychology of what works, but that happens to be my specialty and why I am particularly good at what I do. Okay? The other thing, too, is we already talked about this, but when we talk like all the other agents in the comments or like all the other DMs, we're actually hurting ourselves. We're telling them right up front, we are like everybody else. There's nothing unique about me. I think the same way. So we're hurting ourselves. You follow me on that one? Do you understand how that hurts us? Right? I hope so. Okay. So people buy our services first with their time and trust. The commission is the tip after the service has been completed. So a transaction happens, a purchase is made. Hopefully you follow what I'm saying. First with time and trust. They're paying us with time and trust initially. We all know we don't get paid until it closes. So the first thing they're buying, the transaction is largely dependent on not money, right? But time and trust. And our first interaction with them is let me waste your time and let me do nothing to build your trust. Not a good way to start a relationship. Can we all agree? Not a good way, right? And so instead, we have to get deeper and more relevant if we want people to actually respond. The generic's not going to work. They're inundated, especially with AI now. They're inundated with generic all the time. They're inundated with impersonal responses and actions. There's people who are even responding to them in comments using AI. You have to be unique and you have to know. Again, I don't like value. I feel like it's been overused now, but we'll use value for the sake of that I didn't expect to teach today. So we have to know what value really is. So now let's fix this problem, okay? So now we go back to Keith. Go back to that question. Keith should respond to me over other agents because now let me give you some ways that I've used to help Keith want to respond to me, to show it what's in it for Keith. Keith should respond to me over other agents because I have a guide called Everything You Need to Know About Moving to Tennessee. Oh, I actually have something for Keith that's useful and relevant. There we go. He should respond because I have a list of incentives for new construction builders in Tennessee. Because does not Keith care about who's paying closing costs? Right? Which houses are move-in ready? Which builders are offering a rate buy down? Are not those incentives for Keith to respond? It's something useful, relevant, right? Maybe you have some excellent programs, and maybe agents already have access to these programs, but most of them won't talk about them. They'll stick to the generic script. They won't get to the point. But maybe you've got lenders who will do rate buy downs, zero down payment, closing cost help, right? Maybe you have insurance providers who are unbeatable, right? Maybe your brokerage offers pay at closing loans, buy before you sell, right? Maybe you turn around and you have all the resources they need from a moving company, an internet provider, a job network to help with their move from Keith's move from out of state. Maybe you have a moving package to send them that helps with their move. You guys follow me on this? Oh my gosh, now Keith has a reason to respond. I've actually given him something. And by the way, just so you know, because I'm over the top, I do all of these things and then some. It's not that hard once you set it up initially, once you just kind of map out, hey, what do I offer people? What do I actually give people? You know what I'm saying? What is my value proposition? And so I do all of these things. So, Kathy, great question. I think we're in a good place to get to that question. Let me see. Yep. Okay, perfect. So great question. Let me answer that in just a second. Let me go back to Nadine. Nadine asked initially when you're reaching out, let's say you're cold calling or something like that, she asked, don't you have to confirm if he's the owner? Right? No, you don't. And honestly, the red door is how I confirm they're the owner. If they go, what red door? I go, oh, wait a second. Are you not 123 Main Street? You see how I did that? It's a much different way. So I am confirming they're the owner, but I'm doing it in a personable way and not in a scripted way where people are like, oh, great, here we go. Right? So the answer is yes, you should confirm they're the owner, but you can just do it in kind of the reverse psychology way, or not reverse psychology, but in a covert way, a more subtle way, right? Find something personal and unique that makes them go, oh, that's not something I've heard someone talk about before. And then they either confirm or deny it. Oh yeah, that's me. Yeah, the red door, blah blah blah. Well, mentally check. They just confirm they're the address. And if not, and they go, "What?" You go, "Oh, well, whoops." And then I would still continue on with the conversation. By the way, I would just explain why I was calling. Still. All right. Now let me go to Kathy's question. A great question. So, how do you find out what their needs are with the limited conversation? I love this. Okay. So, we all should be experts in one, reading between the lines, and then two, we should know that there are universal problems that all people in real estate face statistically. Doesn't mean they'll all be exactly the same, but on average, they're going to face these problems. So let me give you an example. So let's go back to the post. Keith says that he is moving from out of state to Tennessee, looking for a real estate agent to help him out. Okay, there's a lot that I can assume, and then there's a lot that I can even pull from that. One, moving out of state. Moving out of state is different than moving city to city in state. So he's going to have logistical problems, timing problems, right? He's going to have a lot of work for planning that ahead. Keith might not have a job. He might be moving for a job. He might be looking for a job, right? So there's something we can assume. They might not be familiar with schools. They might not have kids, right? Sometimes I'll go check out Keith's profile and I'll go see. Sometimes I'll see that Keith just said moving out of state, starting over. Maybe he's recently divorced. Maybe he's recently married. Maybe it's a job transfer. So, fortunately, on social media, we actually tend to be able to extract a lot of information. We can just go look. If Keith has him and kids in the picture, right? I'm going to assume those are his kids. And so I'm going to say something around schools. I'm going to say because a good parent is going to care about what schools their kids end up in. So I'll say, and I've got a great list of the top rated schools in Tennessee, right? So I'm going to be able to extract, even from a short post, universal truths. And then I can also go in and try and pick some from Keith's profile. Now, that only works on social media, right? Being able to get that extra information. But like I said, you can still extract universal truths. The vast majority of people are going to need a loan. The vast majority of people do not want to put down a large amount of money for down payments. The vast majority of people move when they move. That means they need boxes, bubble wrap. That means that they need maybe movers. Vast majority of people will need new insurance, house insurance, right? Plenty of people do not keep the same provider. Most people don't ever even look twice. I have plenty of move up clients that I gave them a totally new insurance provider, meaning they had one on their last home already, and I found them a better one, right? So there's a lot in there without ever having to know Keith that I can still extract to try and reach Keith. There's still a shot in the dark, but it's way better than generic because I have a statistical odds that these things are going to be relevant to most people. Okay. Now, if you're not on social media, you just do exactly what I just said, right? If it's a lead through your brokerage, right? Epic, they give us thousands of leads to call, but they're through the CRM, which means there's no social media profile. So I can't go look at their pictures. And the way the leads are extracted, lead gen companies can't ask familial status. There's certain things that they can't ask. So we don't have that to go off of. A lot of times it's really basic information. Well, if they're an expired lead, is there not things that I can assume about an expired lead? Right? And extract that and kind of do a shot in the dark. Right? If I happen to have an address for that expired lead, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm going to go look it up, find a unique feature about the home, the red door, if you will. Right? And I'm going to talk about it. So does that kind of answer your question, Kathy? I just want to make sure that I did a good job there. And if you guys have more questions, just drop them there, right? So what I would encourage you guys to do is to pick one value point and build it out. And so what I mean by that is find something that you bring to your clients. It does not always have to be physical. It can be connections, it can be a network, it can be providing a service of some sort. But find one thing, and I'm happy to help you guys. We have time. That's why I wanted to have extra time here so that you can ask me questions and I can help you. But it could be a guidebook. It could be the best hiking trails list. It could be really good market reports, not generic ones generated for you, ones you make, right? In your way, in your brand, in your tone. And then I want you to send that to your cold dead leads that haven't responded in a while. Now you might be thinking, Robert, what if they? Well, I love the hiking trails list, but I have no idea if a bunch of these cold dead leads even like hiking. Well, you're about to find out. They're cold dead leads anyway. They ain't talking to you. What do you got to lose? But if they do like hiking, you just found something in common with them, and you got them talking to you again. I do that all the time, guys. I do that all the freaking time. I will just find anything and everything to get someone to respond to me because my family relies on my ability to have conversations with people that lead to closings. So I can't have cold dead leads. That's unacceptable. I have to get warm leads that turn to hot leads that turn to closings. Otherwise, my family doesn't eat. And I'm going to assume the same for you guys. So we can't accept that. I kid you not. I was never trained on any of this stuff. I had to figure it out on my own. In my first year of real estate, I was at KW, and I love KW, by the way, but they give you the 32 or 34 touches a year. Now, those are okay, but the problem is that one, all KW agents had it, so it wasn't unique to me. And then two, is that many of them relied on you having a database already, right? Cold leads do not respond well to warm touches. Does that make sense? Right? Cold leads do not want a picture of you and your family as a card, right? So I didn't know what to do. And so I went and asked some of the top producers, and all of them basically said they were super helpful and I loved them. They were really great. I asked all the top producers and I said, how do I follow up with leads? About 80% of them said they don't really follow up with their leads. They just keep buying new leads. Okay, well, that's not helpful. I'm broke. Not an option for me. Okay. The ones who did follow up with their leads, they were in a small section of they knew about them. And so they were following up by something in particular, something personal about them. Okay. So when you're following up with these leads, right? Again, there are assumptions you can make that are universal, and it's okay. I kid you not, I would send a lead to Nadine. I would send a text to Nadine, a generic one, because I didn't know at the time. And then Nadine would never respond. That's fine. And most agents would leave it at that. Well, Nadine never responded. Guess she doesn't want to work with me. Guess it's not a good fit. Whatever excuse we want to make. I said, unacceptable. No, I got to keep trying. And so then I would start to push myself, right? I would go and see if this sounds so like sounds like a Netflix documentary. I'd be like, is Nadine on Facebook? I'm going to go add her as a friend. I would find any way to contact Nadine because I needed her to know that I'm a real estate agent and I really want to help her. Okay. Sometimes I would take, if it was Christmas time, I wear Santa hats. I would take a picture of me with a Santa hat and just tell people. I would send it to people. I didn't know. I had people call me weird. That's fine. They weren't going to be a good fit anyway because I was wearing the Santa hat anyway. And I wear it to my showings and I wear it to my closings during December, right after Thanksgiving, actually, if we're being honest. Sometimes before Thanksgiving, but whatever. But that's me and that's who I am. And I'm determined to show Nadine who I am so that Nadine can make an informed decision of whether she actually wants to work with me or not. Because the generic responses don't help her make that decision. So I had to just help her make that decision. And I needed an answer. I need closure from Nadine. I need her to call me weird and say, never talk to me again. That's fine. Totally fine. Now I have closure. And now I know I did everything I could. And it's not my fault anymore. It wasn't my lack of trying and effort that Nadine didn't end up working with me. So that if she ends up working with someone else, I don't have to have that feeling, that awful feeling that some of you have felt, where you go, wait a second, that person, I could have closed them. They ended up working with another agent. I can't handle that guilt. I don't want that guilt. I don't want that pressure. So I will do everything in my power until Nadine says, nope, absolutely not. Don't want to work with you. Please stop contacting me. Okay, I respect you. No problem. And so then when she closes with Felicia, I'm not feeling that guilt. Felicia was the person for her. And that's okay. That's okay. Are you guys kind of following what I'm saying and the importance of what I'm talking about? And you can try anything and everything. I'm telling you, I tried everything. I'm a Christian, so it was always moral and ethical. But I tried anything and everything. Sometimes I would randomly text someone and I would just go, I know this is so random, like a cold lead, right? Who hasn't responded to my generic real estate texts. I would be like, let me just pick a name from there. I'd be like, Elizabeth, what's your favorite food? I kid you not. I would, a cold dead lead, I'd be like, by the way, Elizabeth, forget the real estate stuff. What's your favorite food? What's your favorite restaurant here in Murfreesboro, where I live? And guess what? Sometimes they responded. Sometimes those who responded ended up being a closing. It's worth it. And Nadine, you should absolutely block whoever you want to block, right? Every single one of the generic messages that I get from the insurance people trying to sell me healthcare, health insurance, it's generic, it's garbage. Some people like that. I do not, I block them because they clearly did not take the time to look up me, to learn about me. I am just another automated message. Totally fine. I'm not mad at them. They're not my people. So I block them too. And I am totally fine with someone blocking me. I am totally fine with someone saying, you are not my person. I would much rather work with people who I am their person, who want my level of passion and excitement, right? And so this is good because Nadine, you can build your follow up system based off of who you are and how you would want to receive. That's what I did. I would never be offended. I mean, genuinely, if a fence guy was trying to get my business, we'll just do a loan officer because we've all had 1,000 loan officers try and get our business, right? Right? I would be much more inclined to talk to and work with a loan officer who sent me a picture of themselves in a Santa hat and said something Christmassy to me than another loan officer saying, hey, we should go get lunch. I would absolutely be much more inclined. Now, other people will be like, nope, I want the lunch. I'm not that guy. Right? So you are totally, totally fine with where you are, Nadine. The point is that you are a person. And generic will not help you find the people that want to work with you. So you have to build what your value proposition is and communicate that to people so that you can find the people who want it. Because the truth is that a lot of the people who block you, they don't want to work with you anyway. That's fine. You are looking for the people who do want to work with you. And the only way to find those people is to be you, to give them something to help them make that informed decision of whether you are the person for them or not. And the sooner you can get to that answer, the better. Now, sometimes it takes years, by the way. I have had leads, I kid you not, and I'm curious what you guys have done, but I've had leads that I have followed up that were non-responsive for years. Years. But I am faithful, okay? And then they end up responding one time to something, and I close them. Let me tell you, it feels really good when a dead lead ends up turning into $10,000. You don't hear anybody going, oh man, I wish I never followed up with them after those 2, 3 years. You ever heard anybody like that? Do you ever go, nah, they respond, oh, I'd love to work with you. Well, Angela, you didn't follow up with me and respond to my comments, so I don't want to work with you. Heck no. You're like, Angela, yes, you're finally here. You finally responded. It's working. Yes, finally. You guys see what I'm saying? We actually all know how to follow up. We just don't do it. We do the terrible crap that we have been taught in lots and lots and lots of brokerages and seminars and trainings because those people are interested in selling you something and they're not following what they're even practicing or what they're teaching. Because if they were, they would treat you differently. They would treat you differently too. All right. Who's got some questions for me? Don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter. We'll give you a replay of the slideshow, maybe some other resources. But anybody got any questions, scenarios, problems, concerns, right? Nadine said, man, I would block you. That is not the way I want to do it. You can share that and I can help you to figure out. Um, do you guys want help on picking that person from your CRM, from your database, from social media? John, how do we subscribe to the newsletter? Misa's going to drop a link right there in the chat for you in a second. And just to emphasize, it's free. I have nothing to sell you. I just give it away. God has blessed me with a wonderful career in real estate, and it's just part of my mission to bless as many people as I can back. And many of you are regulars, so you know. When have I ever tried to sell you on anything? And most of you, I've had people try to turn around and hire me for coaching, and I go, no. All right, so we got that. Now, any other questions? Okay, Tiffany says, yes, I always have trouble which one to pick. Okay, so anybody else struggle with, okay, Robert, this sounds good, but who? Who do I start with? How do I pick them? Anybody else struggle with that? Give me an X in the chat if that's you, because I just want to see if others are also kind of feeling the same way. Cynthia says X. Yep, feeling the same way. Anybody else? I see some distracted eyes. It's okay. We're near the end. I get it. It's hard for us real estate agents to spend more than 5 minutes on one thing. So Kathy says X. Kristen says X. Okay, so some of you feel that too. Where do I start? How do I pick the person? All right. There's two ways to look at this. If it's someone you know already information about, that should be a piece of cake. All right. That should be a piece of cake. I happen to know that Keith has done some flipping and renovations. So let's just say that, Keith is, I'll do a cold leads too, but let's just say Keith is my warm lead that I kind of know a little bit about. I'm going to lean into the fact that I know that Keith is married. I know that Keith has done kind of flipping and renovations type stuff. So I'm going to try and find something valuable and relevant to what Keith does, to what's important to Keith. Okay, does that make sense? And so I'm going to talk to him about those things. But now let me take Angela. I don't know Angela particularly well. I don't know a lot about Angela. So she's going to be a cold lead for me. So I'm going to turn around and just try and assume, let's just say that this is a lead that came in my CRM. So I can't even cheat. And let's say I tried to find Angela on social media to learn more about her and I couldn't. So it's truly cold. All I've got is this cold lead. Okay. I am going to either one, start with humor. I kid you not. I will typically, if I'm texting Angela, I'll usually send a picture because videos go terrible with all of our technology. Videos are still somehow awful in text messages. Or if I'm DMing out Angela on social media, because people will have private Facebook, so you can still not see any information about them. Either way, I'm going to send either a picture or a video because one, that stands out. The vast majority of agents will never send a picture or a video to even their warm leads. But I need Angela to hear my tone, or at the least, if it's a picture, see my expression. So I might send a picture of me with a big smile, or if I'm doing something interesting, kid you not, making bread. Okay? I'm going to do something that just disarms Angela, humanizes me, makes Angela realize I know everybody else is trying to take from you and they're like corporate bots. I'm Robert. My wife made some fresh bread. It smells great. It's going to disarm Angela. It doesn't mean that she's going to like it or that she wants to work with me, but at the very least, it's going to be different and it's very likely going to disarm her a bit. Okay, so I'm going to send that picture. Hey, Angela, was making some bread or about to eat the bread my wife just made, whatever. right? And I saw you come in as a lead, and I just want to take a quick minute and reach out and introduce myself. I'll introduce myself, and then I'll mention the bread again. So I'll circle back to the bread. By the way, what kind of bread do you like? She might say she's gluten free, and I'll go, my wife too, right? I'm going to try and find something. I'm going to try and get a question about Angela so that I can start to build out who she is so that I can know how to properly talk to her, how to serve her better. Does that make sense? You guys follow me on like who to talk to? So if it's cold, just find something interesting or relevant. Now, if you have a little bit of context, so let's go back to Angela and let's say that I know that she's a first-time home buyer. So that's a little bit more information. Okay, most of you should know what first-time home buyers typically need. All right, but we're going to do this together. Do they typically have the down payment or not? First-time home buyers, not a trick question, right? It's either Kristen, right? It's either a tiny, tiny little bit or they don't have any down payment. They're first time home buyers. Statistically, almost all first time home buyers absolutely need down payment assistance. Okay, well, there we go. Because I know that about Angela, I know at least there might be something there. She's statistically likely going to need some down payment assistance. So I should make sure that I mention that, right? Now, here's the other thing. Remember, down payment, but there's also closing costs, not just down payment, right? There's also closing costs. So I know there's a good chance that Angela's going to need help on closing costs. So what if I turned around and I told Angela that I had a list of builders who pay closing costs or will give her a credit towards closing costs? Don't you think that Angela will go, well, yeah, I kind of know that I need the help on the money side of things. And I like the idea of someone helping me with that. Isn't that a lot better than just, hey, Angela, I'm Robert Bean over at Epic Realty. I got your lead coming in. What's your timeline? When are you looking to move? Have you been pre approved? First of all, Angela doesn't know you. Please stop treating her like you do. She doesn't want to talk about these things with you. She already went through the process. Get relevant to her. Give her a reason to talk to you to show that you're not a generic bot. Right? Does that make sense? You guys follow me on this? So did that kind of answer the question on how to pick one? You can literally just pick any. I'm kidding. I kid you not. Go to your Facebook feed, pick the first person on your feed, and go send them a video in the DM. Just find something, right? I'm going to teach you something that's crazy, okay? How about we take a politically charged person? Because, right, Robert, this could backfire. Okay, the first person on my list is Kristen. Kristen, I know you're not politically charged, but it's okay. I'm just using you an example. I scroll and I'm going to do exactly what Robert said to do. And there's Kristen, and she is talking about, I hate insert political person. I don't want to talk to Kristen, right? Would you, most of you agree? Especially if she has opposing beliefs. Would you agree? Robert's wrong. I shouldn't talk to Kristen. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to send a video to Kristen. I'm going to say, Kristen, hey, I saw that post. And I just wanted to reach out and say, I appreciate you. I'm glad we're friends on Facebook because this stuff that you're talking about, it sucks, right? It sucks. And I could be have complete opposite views. But the core of it is that I do want to be connected to Kristen. And I do want a bridge of peace to Kristen. I don't need to talk about my political views, but I can still respect hers. I have people who think I'm exactly the same political views as them that have closed with me. And they think I am, if you will, one of them. You know why? Because I'm here to serve them. It's not about me. I am one of you, if you will. I am one of you. As long as you're not making me or pushing me to compromise my morals, we're going to get along fine. I have worked with people who are mean, rude. I've had people that were going through a really hard time in their life and they had called me racist, and that same person closed with me, and that same person came back again to close with me another time, and they referred people to me because I could see through the emotion. I could see through Kristen's political charge and just realize she's just frustrated. But at the end of the day, she still needs help with that house. That hasn't changed. And I'm a great person to help with that. I'm not going to be someone who can help her through the political stuff. Sorry, that's not me. I'm not going to be the counselor, the therapist, or whatever it is. But I can be the guy who does a good job in Kristen's life and gives her something good, someone to be trustworthy, someone that reminds her that even though everything looks really bad, there's a couple people out there who actually care about her and are going to help her and do right by her. So you see what I'm saying? You can talk to anyone. Do not be afraid. I'm going to give you another example. A lot of you guys may know already. I have a fantasy dystopian novel come out. So think like Hunger Games dystopian vibe meets Avatar The Last Airbender. I write fantasy books too. Top of real estate. I need to sell books, guys. That's part of what I have to do. I'm not famous. So I have to do it the old fashioned way. I have to actually talk to people, connect with people, and build relationships. Well, while the guy at Kroger was putting the groceries in the car, I noticed that he had a dragon tattoo on his arm. Now, my brain went through processing and analyzing, and I said, okay, of all the people I've ever met who have a dragon tattoo, most of them kind of like fantasy to some degree. Can we all agree? Like, you typically do not see someone who's like super corporate and not into anything fantasy related with fantasy related tattoos, right? Tattoos are typically an expression of us. So I said, dude, his name's Jonathan. He was awesome. I said, Jonathan, it's a cool dragon tattoo. Do you by chance like fantasy dystopian stories? And Jonathan said, yes. And I said, Jonathan, I have got something for you. And then I told him real quick about the book. And right there in the parking lot, he pre ordered the book. Not only that, then he went and applied to be what's called an ARC reader, which means he'll get an early copy as well. And he'll go leave me reviews, which are really important. But that wouldn't have come if I didn't just talk to this complete stranger and find something relevant to them. But I was still very intentional about what I was doing, right? I didn't waste time. I didn't pretend to care more about Jonathan either, because I don't believe in lying, guys. I was very clear and upfront with what I wanted from Jonathan, was I not? I found something relevant to him. I found a shared interest and a passion. And then he was wonderful and received it and wanted it. But I was still very clear. So you can go anywhere and talk to anyone. There is something there. And if they shut you down, it's okay. They were not the one then. That's all right. And you can move on. You don't have to force it. You don't have to push it. And some of those people, the hardest people, end up coming back around too. They do. As long as you are consistent in who you are, you'll be just fine. So let's see. Kristen said, a lot of leads I get in Lofty are expired withdrawn listings. So they've recently worked with an agent. For some reason, they couldn't sell. How do I break through the pick me, I'm different noise? Good question, right? I think we're going to see a lot of expired listings. I think we're going to see those go up because homes are sitting longer in the market and people naturally just say, my agent's bad. And therefore, a new agent or just letting it expire and giving up. I think we're going to see that more and more. I don't know for how long, but I just, in my market, I'm seeing an uptick. I'm curious what you guys are seeing in your market if you're watching that. But I think definitely with days on market, when it tends to go up, but people think it's supposed to sell in 2 days, we're going to see more of that. So how, Miriam, I'll answer your question in a second. That's great. But how do I break through the noise and the pick me, I'm different? Well, one, let's just say it's text based because it's a lofty lead, Kristen. So, not social media. So video's not appropriate. I would still do the picture. Okay. That alone is different. Just to be clear, you're a real human now. You're not a bot. And I would be doing something, like I said, I would find something that's interesting. Think of it almost like a thumbnail. When you're watching, when you're looking at videos to scroll through, right? Think about how hard they have to work in those thumbnails to convince you to keep going, to keep reading, right? And how many TV shows have to have a cliffhanger at the end of the episode so you go to the next one? And how many chapters have to have a cliffhanger at the end of the chapter so you go to the next one? It's no different. There's a lot of things competing for, let's just say, John's time that Kristen's trying to read. And there's a lot of things competing for John's time. And so Kristen can send a selfie if she wants. She doesn't even have to. Maybe she doesn't feel comfortable. John's a man, she's a woman, maybe she's married. And so she's not interested in kind of that type of relationship, which is totally fine and totally appropriate. Then she can just show something she's doing or seen. Okay? That's totally fine. And then as far as what you actually say, um, I would base it off of how you talk in your personality. So again, I'm humor based. So I would address the elephant in the room. That's my thing. I'm really, really straightforward with people. And then I do it with humor. So let me give you an example. I would say something like, John, I'm going to take a wild guess that one of two things happened to your house. Either, and I would, if I could, I'd bring a personal feature if I have an address. So like the red door, let's go back to the red door, to your house with the red door. Or to your house, and let me tell you, it's not the red door. That thing is beautiful, right? So little humor in there, personal. I've actually looked at their house, right? I'm not just, okay? And then I would go with the humor and go, one of two things happened. Either your agent was terrible, and I'm sorry that happened, and I hope that that's not the case. So notice I'm not trying to bring down agents. I said, I hope that's not the case. But we can all be honest that there are plenty of terrible agents. There are. That is just true. And that sucks. It's a crappy reality. So we can dress the elephant in the room. Or two, right? Maybe you got some leads or showings, or maybe it was dead, but you didn't get what you were looking for in offers. See how those are specific enough for him to give an answer, but generic enough to cover the vast majority of expireds? And again, I led with the humor and I led with something personal first. The picture, the comment about his red door and saying it's not the red door. That wasn't the problem. That thing's gorgeous, right? And it's not the oak tree. That thing is beautiful. You see what I'm saying? Right? Because the other thing to look at is typically when you find a unique personal detail about a home, a lot of times that's something people take pride in. So you're also kind of complimenting them at the same time, right? So that kind of answer your question, Kristen? Okay, cool. And then I'll do one more question real quick. Miriam asks, what if Angela, in our scenario from earlier, still doesn't reply for several days after I sent her the thing about the bread? How could you not respond to me, Angela? I showed you the beautiful loaf of bread my wife made. Oh, the pain. Okay, how do I respond? Man, I'm just going to find something else then. Okay, Angela, check mark, she does not like bread. I'm essentially going to say that, right? In my head, I'm going to be like, okay, bread didn't work. What else? And I'll find something else to engage with Angela on, right? I'm going to find something else because I'm going to keep trying different methods. Maybe I'll just go a bit more direct this time. Okay, the personal little touch, she wasn't interested. Maybe she's a businesswoman. She's got things to do. Don't waste time sending me your bread pictures. Not interested. I might go, hey, Angela, just real quick. I don't know about you, but a lot of my clients forget to get boxes when they move. So I just wanted you to know, anybody who works with me, I'm going to give them a moving package. I'm going to send you boxes, bubble wrap, tape, and a marker. Would that be helpful to you? And that might be the thing where Angela goes, well, yeah, actually, I could use some boxes. Right? So I'm going to try that. Angela still doesn't respond. Well, you know what I'm going to do next? Remember, I learned she was a first-time home buyer. Hey, Angela, here's a list of the builders who will cover closing costs. Hey, Angela, I have a great lender who has first-time home buyer loans. Hey, Angela, and I'm going to keep going until one day Angela says, that's the thing. That's the thing. There we go. That's what I care about. And then I'm going to be very excited and very happy. And Angela, here's what's really cool, is Angela knows me now. I have actually taught Angela a lot before ever actually talking to Angela because I've sent her relevant things. I've reinforced now for quite some time that I am filled with resources and I'm personable. Right? You guys follow me on that? You see what I'm saying? It crushes. It absolutely kills when you do this because it is a conversion mechanism. That is why someone after 2 years will reach out to me. I had another lady, I sent her postcards. I like to send postcards to people. And She had not responded to my messages for a year, year and a half, and she was a past client, just to be clear. So I had done well by her. She left reviews. She was very happy. Miss Wilda, by the way, she's wonderful. But she didn't respond for like a year and a half. And then one day after my New Year's postcard went out, she said, Robert, I've been getting your postcards. I need to sell the house. Can we talk? Imagine I had just given up on her. Imagine I didn't believe in Miss Wilda. Imagine I didn't believe that I had done a good job and was worthy of being worked with again. I am worthy of being worked with again. I am a great agent and I do well by people. I am absolutely worthy of repeat business. Why don't I live like it then? Why don't you live like that? Do you actually live and work as someone who is worthy of repeat business? It should be shown in your faithfulness and your follow up, in the relevancy of what you send, right? And Miss Wilda did close with me. And that was another wonderful check to have. And I was so fortunate that she trusted me that way and to be there for her and help her once again. What a gift. What a gift. I mean, I'll tell you one last quick story. We're over time, so if you need to go, this is one of my favorite ones because it's crazy. It's one that even blew my own mind, okay? Miss Wilda didn't blow my mind. I know I got this. I'm faithful. I know I do right by her. But how about when you do wrong by someone? Okay. I had a client, I was running a team. It's the first time I was running my first initial team, so I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew I sold a lot of homes, and everybody says start a team after that. I had a new agent on my team, and I'm very generous. I like to help people. And so I was like, Keith's been on my team. He knows this about me. I like to help people. I try to give as much as I can give. So I give her a lead that I found, but I gave it to her and I said, you go do this lead. You got this. This guy's going to buy a good piece of land. Um, really excited. Now, long story short, everything checked out, but he was out of state. When he bought the land and he came back, he found out that the property was sloped. None of the pictures showed it. He couldn't build on it. I failed him because I am the team leader. And he came to me first with trust. I handed him to someone else, and they never actually walked the property. I failed him. That's my fault. What's he going to do with that property now? So he held on to it. And here's the thing that I did, though. I still followed up with him. His name's Scott. I still followed up with him. Every now and then, I would send Scott a message and I'd say, Scott, I just want you to know if anything ever changes, I want to work for you for free. I'll sell the property for free. I'll market it extra, my own dollar. I need to make this right. I'm a Christian, right? I need to make this right. I did fail you. Elephant in the room. And I'm sorry. And I kept following up with him. I did not assume that Scott would never want to work with me again. There are people in your life who hurt you, but you don't want to end the relationship with, right? So I'm going to assume that I did everything else right. I just dropped the ball this thing. And it is a big thing, but it wasn't intentional. I'm going to try and make it right. Now, I want you to fast forward ahead 5 years. I get a call from Scott. Hey, are you still working in insert area? Yeah, I am. I need to sell that piece of land. I tried to sell it on my own and it didn't work out. Well, hey, Scott, thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance. I said this. Thank you for giving me a chance to make this right. And I'm going to keep my promise, by the way, Scott. And I'm going to work for you for free. I'm not going to charge you any commission, anything like that. Okay. So then I go, I do the due diligence. I bring in one of my agents on the team who's even better at land than I am. I'm okay at land. He's way better at land than I am to work on it. We did so good by Scott. He paid us 10%. Yes. Yep. You heard that right. I didn't ask for that. Meaning, like we proposed the idea. I always propose the idea, right? When I gauged the conversation and Scott, at one point he said, no, listen, like if you just get it sold and do a good job, because I came back to him and he was like, yeah,
let's say he bought it for like 120K, and he was like, yeah, I tried to sell it to some sort of wholesaler investor for like 150K. We did our comps, and we're like, Scott, this is a $220,000 piece of land. And so he says, listen, you sell that, I'll pay you a commission. I said, all right, Scott, my word's good, but if you're meaning that, okay. And he was so happy that the thing that I failed him on ended up making him significantly more money. He had no idea that I just unintentionally, because I made a mistake, but I unintentionally helped him make a great investment. And then I ended up making money from it. What the heck? So you see what I'm saying? Even people who I have done wrong for, I'm going to follow up with the goal of making it right. And I will not rest until I can. And then who would have thought that I ended up making a commission check from that? I didn't. I had another client who got screwed by a builder out of their earnest money, needed to sell their home, move on. I felt God telling me to work and sell their home for free. So I did. Here's what's crazy. Of course, they let me help them buy on the home, right? The home they bought was a D.R. Horton home that ended up having a double commission. Had no idea. Do you see what I'm saying? I hope you guys are feeling this. If you just lead with this heart of serving people personally, honestly, directly, faithfully, such great and wonderful things will work out. And then a lot of the junk that you don't need in your life will naturally gravitate away. All right, we are way over time. I hope I blessed you, served you. I hope that you got a lot of value from today. I'm so excited. Please go take action and then share it in our Facebook group, the Agent Alliance Facebook group. I'd love to hear how you guys are doing, reaching more people, getting dead leads or cold leads to talk again. All right, I got to go pick up groceries. See you guys. Have a good day.